out.
Shit out.
You know who has shit figured out?
I do. I damn well do.
Let's jump into it, Tone. Our next topic, and we're gonna get Cuddles on here in just a moment. But Tone, Gen V dropped, and it kind of, I don't want to say it dropped like a shadow drop, but it really kind of came out of nowhere for me. I was just like, you were like, hey, Gen V's out. I was like, huh? It's out. And you're like, yeah, it's out now. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't remember seeing anything pop up. It just,
No.
it was there. Okay, we're not gonna get super spoiler. We won't get spoiler like we did Loki. Don't worry about it, J-Ho. Just just general thoughts on it. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Tone. Like I've watched through the 5 episodes that are available now. The 5th episode is fucking awesome. That's all I'll say about that. It's probably one of the best stories told in both universes, The Boys and Gen V. It's one of the best episodes in all those shows. But this show has everything that makes The Boys great, and it's all here. Unpredictable story arcs. You don't know who you're rooting for yet. You never know. You're just like, this person has these abilities. Are they going to be a scumbag with it? Are they going to be a good guy with it? I don't know. But it has the unpredictable story arcs. It has the fucking violence. It's got edgy themes, and it's super fucking engaging. I didn't know. I mean, look, man, spinoffs are really kind of hit or miss with me. Sometimes they nail it. Sometimes they fuck it up completely.
Mm-hmm.
This shit is on the same level as The Boys, and this last episode is one of the best episodes in both those universes.
Mm-hmm.
This show is incredibly engaging with great characters, some compelling storylines, and the violence. I love how they just don't pull any punches with how violent this fucking show gets. But it's got humor, it's got drama, it's got some it touches on heady themes, and much like The Boys, it pulls from a lot of the headlines, social things that we're all dealing with. It does a great job at just taking what's relevant in our lives right now and putting it and threading it into the storylines. And they don't do it to a point where they're beating you over the head with a hammer with it.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I can relate to that. Oh, I can understand that.
Yeah. It's dark as fuck, and that's what makes this series so well. Like, listen, we've talked about here on The Boys. The characters in this society are pieces of shit. 90% of everybody in this show is pieces of shit because it reflects that 90% of us in fucking real life are pieces of shit. It mirrors so much real life, like how they talk, the way they do things. Like, you watch like any given show on TV, and you're going to say, oh, this is incredibly written well. I love the conversation, the dialogue. Well, 90% of the people don't really talk like that. And that's fine because it's a story. You're telling a story.
Yeah.
But in this, like, Cuddles even said it before, and we've said it as well, too. Like, if superheroes were real in the real world, this is the behavior we would see out of them.
You're not going to get
you can't control human behavior.
Reeves, Clark Kent. You're not getting that.
That's not how reality fucking works. I will say the characters in this show, definitely because they're younger, even though going through like the pubescent stuff or the young adult stuff, they seem to have more chivalry because they haven't been fully corrupted by the world and the corporate world that is Vought and everything yet, which is a little bit better to see, right? Because even in the Boys show, when there's 2 different factions, you really only got 1, maybe 2 characters that are pretty good, but they also got to get down and be pieces of shit too to combat the pieces of shit. So it's a lot of shit being flung because everybody's a piece of shit. In this series, it's I feel like there's a definitive like goal going on. Like whereas The Boys, I feel like there is a little bit of openness on how the story's going, and like you'll have some twists and turns, or whatever.
Right.
In this, I feel like it certainly has a little bit more of a linear path, and that's fine because it works. I feel like it's a little bit refreshing to have that same storytelling, but also kind of like feeling like you're going through chapters of something. Because I don't necessarily see this being like a lot of seasons like The Boys, and that's fine. I don't want that to oversaturate though either. If it's not going to be good storytelling, they're just doing it to doing it. But you put a 0 at the end of a check and things change real fast, right? Robert Kirkman in The Walking Dead. Anyways, I love it so far. I to the point where I think I was a week or 2 behind, or something, 2 or 3 weeks behind when I realized it was out. I don't recall. All I know is that there was one night that I started watching them, and I was up to like midnight binging the shit because, for one, they're long episodes, which I really appreciate. And I typically don't do that. I don't binge till late. But this was certainly a series where, like, when you start watching it, you can't stop, and you don't want to because you're just so engaged. So, if you haven't seen, if you like The Boys, you love The Boys, whatever it is, even if you inkling just kind of, The Boys not too bad, give this a shot.
It's fucking awesome.
It's good, and it, like I said, it doesn't oversaturate the fact that it's part of that universe. It just has it in the backdrop nicely. This is something, the way they do this should be Feige taking notes. Okay, this is how we do our MCU shit on D+, because they do it great.
That's 100% accurate. Cuddles, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Daddy, it is me, and we now have you on. You guys should be able to hear Cuddles. Cuddles, want to get your thoughts, man, on Gen V.
Yeah. So to go back to what Tone said,
Can't hear him?
can't hear me?
He's on.
No?
He's on now. They can hear him now.
Okay, now? Okay, cool. To go back to what kind of like Tone said, it does, because it takes place after season 3. So this Gen V is between season 3 of The Boys and season 4 of The Boys.
Right.
So there's enough of that Boys storyline in the show without taking away from this show in particular, right?
Exactly.
Like, so without it's gonna be hard not doing spoilers, so I would do my best, I promise you.
Sure.
They talk about, you know, how it came out in The Boys, how pretty much all the parents did this to their kids, right?
Yep.
So that they did talk about that and played that in a little bit, and it's the storytelling's been great. The story's been awesome from the get-go. There's some funny moments, there's some brutal moments, there's some moments I was just like, oh shit. Like, it's cool, like, seeing all these different powers too, and seeing, like, with it being teenagers, right? It's almost like it's a social popularity contest.
Yeah.
Even like with their way they got their rankings and stuff like that.
Everything comes down to their followers, to their, you know, what kind of reach they have, subscribers, shit like that.
About being marketable.
Just how many subs they got for YouTube and Twitter and all this, and like you could be the most powerful person out there, but if you don't have the reach to be on the screens and stuff, they kind of just like shine you away, which is kind of cool to see too.
Right.
Watching it, like I said, I don't want to give anything, but you don't know who the bad guy is.
That's what I was saying, man. Like it's these character arcs, they're not super obvious. You know, you're kind of like learning with them as they go, and you're kind of seeing how they handle certain situations. And a lot of these characters, much like in The Boys, a lot of these characters are dealing with some form of trauma, and then being, kind of brushed off by family or some other reasons that they're not around their family. I mean, they've dealt with a lot of trauma, and so they're already kind of on edge. And so when you put in these hyper intense situations, that's when you kind of see who they really are, and then you kind of get little hints at like, oh, I don't know if they're going to be good, or I don't know if they're going to be bad.
Yeah, and same thing with that too. A lot of these kids, it's like their first time away from their parents, right? Because they're like in a boarding school or however you want to put this place. So this is their first time out of their parents' reach and out of their parents' influence for the most part. I mean, you still see it throughout the episodes.
Yep.
But as far as, I mean, if you want to compare it to The Boys, it's just as good.
Absolutely.
It's on the same level, and I'm not a fan of spinoffs. I hate spinoffs. They're usually dumb.
I'm not going to disagree.
Usually some other, it's usually some other producer or director or something like, oh, this show is popular. Let me see what I can do. Well, luckily they had the same people who did The Boys doing this.
Yes.
So you can definitely see that in this. Like, even if I'd never seen The Boys, you could watch this show as a standalone all day long.
You could.
It's just as good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Getting high and shit with powers. Yeah.
What I like about some of the powers on these characters, which is ironic, we talk about marketing as well too. Like, one of the main characters has her powers are like, how you gonna market that, right? Like, you've got somebody like Homelander who basically is an evil Superman. That makes sense to me. Or Queen Maeve, who's, you know, an evil, you know, Wonder Woman or whatever. Well, whatever, you know what I mean? Not evil, but whatever. Two sides of that. But you know, like. You almost think about that, like, okay, she could be number 1, but is Vought gonna go like, oh, you should come up with a 7? Oh, that's not marketable. You know what I mean? Like,
right, you can't push that. That's a non-starter. I think they called one of her things.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they take like the one character, the roommate, that can do the size control, how she activates her powers is actually an interesting. Also, like almost like a what's the word I'm trying to look for? I don't want to say a social piece, but like things that people deal with in real life that they're using as like an activation, and the almost unmarketability of that as well.
Yeah,
too.
not only like it's also kind of like the negative stigma that surrounds that. That's her ability for her to be able to activate her ability through a means that is often just, again, has a negative stigma around it because it is a health concern. That's just one of those things where you're just like, how can you market that?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting how like some of these characters like that are becoming like, taking a forefront and showing some chivalry. But it's like at the end of the day, all the people in the 7 are pieces of shit. You know what I mean? Like, and their powers are at least marketable. So interesting.
Yeah, like I like the struggles, like especially with the girl you're talking about. Then like even Jordan, that character arc too.
That's what a fucking that's pretty.
Like
surprising.
I said, man, these characters, and it goes back, man. Like you can have a show about superheroes and have the action and the violence and whatnot, but man, when you have the writing, when you make these characters so fucking compelling and so interesting, that's what just helps keep you glued in. Yeah, everything else there is great. Like I said, the violence and the action and that stuff is great. But when you have that complementary, like that story writing and the character arcs, all that stuff to complement the action, that's fucking top tier shit, man. And it's just like the fucking boys. It's just as good. If not, in some ways, might even be better by the end of the season. Who knows? This could be something else where you're like, man, I love the boys, but give me another season of Gen V at some point.
Yeah, I like story that leans into, like I said, the reality of things, which also is mature content. Like how we talk, how we react to things. I mean, Cuddles, we've been saying it for years about our Discords. Like, it's not 18, 21 plus, it's 35 plus. Like, we're going to say some fucking crazy shit just because that's what we do, and that's how this show is. Like, it is very extra, but the reality is that that's how people really conduct, and talk. So.
Well, that and too, like, another thing with the show, like, I really enjoy, and the same with Boys too, is just the effects.
Yeah,
the practical effects, the CGI, like it all looks good.
Yeah, like it all looks like really gritty and gory. I mean, and I appreciate that. I don't have any like Renfield style shitty special effects. I mean, you can tell they're special effects, but they're just very detailed. I mean, that's the thing about the violence in the show. It's incredibly fucking detailed.
Mm-hmm. It is. Where do you? So overall, Cuddles. Do we know? First of all, do we know how many episodes left in this?
There are a total of, I think it is 8 episodes, so we have 3 left.
So 3 left. So okay. Do we know if it's been renewed? Do we know there's going to be more?
I have not heard anything yet. I think they're going to just take that and just see what they come up with in terms of like how it does. I mean, obviously it's doing incredibly well, reviewed incredibly well, and by all accounts, there's a lot of people watching the show. Cool. So
okay.
I anticipate that they'll get a hard look at that. Go ahead.
And to compare this to the show y'all just talked about, it's another short episode season, but they're doing it way better than what Loki is right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, shit. I mean, these episodes.
Like I don't leave an episode being like, did I miss something? Should this happen? Like it's making me want more episodes, not trying to figure out what the hell I just watched.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does have that element of like, what's going on, like where is this going? But like you said, you get so much, just like things to like just. To carry you to the next episode. A lot of things that just keep piquing your interest. Like they even though there's still kind of like a mystery to everything, you're getting enough pieces where you can start piecing things together and maybe not solve what's going on, but it gets the conversation started. You start thinking about it, you start theorizing, you start doing like theories and shit like that. That part of it I appreciate. It's not just putting it out there for you. It's building up to it, and it's building up to it in a meaningful way.
I think that Jay Hill says it way better than I've been trying to spit it out of my stupid mouth. But it's amazing how they're showing a world that is easy to relate to its people if they had the powers, but showing the oh, did it move to me? Where'd it go? Oh, the showing the crazy sex and gore stuff. That's the point. It's relatable.
Yeah,
it's very relatable because they lean into some of those themes. So. Yeah.
Cherry said the second is already in the making. They're already in development. Okay. I'm surprised by that, considering everything that was going on with the strike and stuff. Because I mean, there's a lot of shows and movies that are in danger of getting knocked out.
Must have
So
jumped right on that, or they were probably already.
they probably already fucking.
They probably knew they had
knew.
fucking gold anyways.
They knew.
Way. So, Cuddles, I do want to ask: do you have a favorite character thus far?
Probably the girl who can change sizes.
Oh, Emma. Okay.
There's just one episode that I just want to.
Yeah, I know.
Live out.
I like
future.
her.
But
I think she's good. I like Kate. Even though we found out some things about her in episode 5, I was like, oh shit. But there's like I said, man, there's so many. There was a character in the first 2 episodes. I was really hoping we'd learn more about this character, and we didn't get much. And I was like, damn. But the executive producer released a statement 3 days ago. Okay, awesome.
That's another good thing about the show too. Is just the fact that we're not focusing on one character. We're focusing on
several,
multiple, and they're doing a very good job of keeping that story moving without you feeling like you're skipping parts or missing things
or favoring one character over another.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not favoring or whatever, you're finding out that they may come around because you've learned more about that character, or maybe they were acting a certain way because of trauma or a certain way or whatever it was as well too. It's like, again, it's surprising me because I'm like, oh, this character's gonna be the fucking bad guy, or this character's gonna have an attitude. Oh, we're gonna deal with that later, and then all of a sudden you learn more, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense, and then hey, now we're all comrades or something. So it's that relatable, real feel storytelling.
Yeah, and again,
I just can't wait to talk about it after it ends.
Oh, I know, dude.
There's so much I want to say that I just can't.
Yeah.
There's gonna be. I have a feeling with
yeah.
where we're headed, and based on the boys, we're gonna have some serious conversations once the season's over, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. J Hill says it helps not knowing who might die. Any moment keeps you on your toes. Very Game of Thronesy. You're always kind of like, hey, who's gonna die? Somebody. I mean, anybody could die at any moment.
Nothing's safe.
Yeah, nobody's safe. Nothing's safe.
Maybe if you read the books or the comics or whatever.
No, I'm with you, Cuddles, man. I'm super impressed. I don't know how you ranked the episode so far. I thought episode 5 was absolutely fucking phenomenal. Like I said, it's probably one of my favorite episodes in the entire universe of The Boys and Gen V. It was chef kiss perfection. It was a great episode. Episode 5 was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 5 was great.
Totes.
Really, really good. But any other thoughts you want to share, Cuddles?
No, I'm excited for Friday to watch this again.
Oh man, I love that. I love
Is
it.
it Friday or
Like I
Thursday?
said, I'm really excited. Like I'll definitely call it back in once the season's done. Because like so, there's things I want to say, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. Because I think it is worthwhile to watch it on your own without hearing spoilers.
In the meantime, if you haven't watched it, get your shit together and binge that shit this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, get Amazon Prime, and then you can watch it on there. And then if you have Prime, you can use your free sub here at Banner and Babble. Go ahead and support the guys with a free sub that you get once a month from Amazon Prime. You can use it on any of your favorite streamers here on Twitch.
You can go back and forth between us, Cuddles, and then Dungeons.
Yeah.
You can do a nice trifecta there.
Yeah.
Bounce it around.
Keep
That's 4 subs for each of us.
It's like buying me a beer.
It's like buying him a beer.
Thank you.
I love it. No, big fan of the show so far. Cuddles, thank you so much for calling in, man. We appreciate you. And we will definitely have you back on when the season's over because I feel like there's going to be some seriously awesome conversations about Gen V when it's all done.